Hello and welcome, my dear friends, to the all-new exciting Maserati Grecale Folgore unveiling today. The new Maserati electric SUV is currently the hottest thing in the luxury and premium segment, and today we're going to give you an in-depth review, meaning we'll show you its exterior and interior, and of course take you on a test drive to see what this Maserati can do on the streets of Berlin. In a second video, we'll hit the highway to test out the consumption at 100, 120, 140 km/h. 160 mph and doing the charging check from 10 to 80%, so you won't miss the video. Actually, the second one I'd ask you to check if you're already part of the Simply Electric community. If not, we'd be thrilled if you'd support us with a sub. And now let's get going with the brand new Maserati Grecale all episodes. And as always, we'll start from the outside. Starting from the very front, let us take an in-depth look at the front part of the impressive Maserati Grecale. We recognize it as a gas guzzler, but now Maserati has electrified it, integrating a myriad of high-tech features. You will easily identify it by the Folgore's uniquely distinctive grille, which significantly indicates it has been endowed with an entirely impressive and notably enhanced front section once more. Otherwise, we have here then also our curtains, which are supposed to redirect the air around the wheel housings too. We've got adaptive matrix LED headlights for optimal visibility. And with the Folgore, there's always this copper-colored accent involved, which is meant to distinguish the purely electric vehicle from the others. Riding on extremely thick, exceptionally fat 20-inch rims, 245/45 R20. Deep glossy black, partially highly polished on premium Pirelli tires. How could it be different? And then, of course, we have the typical implied air intakes, which we don't need in electromobility. And the Folgore emblem, again in that bronze tone. It kind of reminds you of Cupra, doesn't it?
Yes, kind of.
We have to be honest. Yes, we got it in a beautiful grigio, which is to say, in a dark grey metallic, as the Italians would put it. Beautifully highlighted with glossy black accents. You see it right here in the recessed door handles and you know, eventually right here at the fuel cap with the highly advanced electric connectors, but more on that a bit later. We really don't want to be too nosy, of course. The iconic trident must be prominently represented right here on the C-pillar as well, so everyone can clearly know that you're driving a Maserati Grecale, the Folgore Model 2. Yes, the rear section, sort of a coupe-like line. Maserati really isn't doing any sort of design marvel there. And they're not doing anything extroverted. No, they're taking a classic conservative approach, maintaining a recognizable feature, just like the other Maserati SUVs. And here you have the electric one, again with that beautiful Maserati touch, this time in a copper tone. Back here, subtly Grecale, and you'll recognize it really only by the rear diffuser, because of course there are no big fat exhaust pipes as you're used to from Maserati combustion engines, but then electric mobility doesn't need that. Here, we can now fully dedicate every single aspect strictly in accordance with aerodynamics. Let's move on to the technical specifications. The car is 4.86 meters, almost 4.87 meters long, 1.94 meters wide. Including the side mirrors, it exceeds 2.10 meters and stands at 1.65 meters tall. I'm 6 feet 1 inch tall, just for comparison. It has a wheelbase of about 9 feet 6 inches. We're in between the battery pack with 105 kWh gross and 95 kWh net is removable. Hides 400 volt technology, and we have two electric motors, one on the rear axle, one on the front axle. Together then all-wheel drive, because both axles are driven, with 410 kW, 557 HP, 0 to 100 in 4.1 seconds. We'll definitely try that out. And top speed is 220 km/h. We will also attempt that with you in the second video with the consumption drive and the charging test. 820 Nm of torque, of course, that's meant to deliver the necessary Maserati punch. And that's much more than the combustion engines, for instance, in the Maserati Grecale can deliver. I truly believe, without a doubt, this is definitely my own very sensational story, where I must praise Maserati on one hand, but on the other hand must criticize, is in the charging technology. On the driver's side, we have the standard CCS type connector, which is typical for Europe. So we've got a Type 2 connector up top. That's a 3-phase 22 kilowatt system. That's truly awesome, Maserati. That's really good. We have right here a pretty neat flap that quickly allows us to also charge DC. And somehow I thought, I'm dreaming, my eyes deceive me. This is 2024, we're talking about a luxury premium SUV, and here it is, gobbling up 150 kilowatt. Perhaps a little bit disappointed, 1080 if I've understood that correctly, roughly around 38 minutes or so.
Right, it's just a big battery, isn't it?
And I have to say, Maserati, you stand for high performance. Starting at 124,000, surely with almost full options, maybe up to 130,000 euros, that's what this car will end up costing. I am definitely expecting fast charging, right? That should be at least under 30 minutes, possibly even close to around 200 kilowatt, just like we have seen with my previous model, the Mercedes EQS, for instance. So I believe there's room for improvement there. And you see, we always approach the cars with constructive criticism. We would very much like to take an in-depth look under the hood with you together and discover what secrets are hidden here in the innovative all-electric variant. First up, proper insulation, vent hoods, that's what we expect in the luxury segment, but then, unfortunately here, just a cover. I would have genuinely wished that they had also incorporated a frunk in the exclusively purely electric version here as well. We've seen it, for example, with the new Porsche Macan, which also has a frunk in the front, or the Taycan, or other premium vehicles like the Q8 e-tron, for instance. It's a bit of a pity. Of course, I don't know what's underneath, but for us, it would have been practical because then we could have just packed our charging equipment in here at the front. And especially when it's raining or during the winter's nasty weather, you won't mess up the dirty charging cable with the fancy luggage. In the trunk. Yes, Stefano, shall we listen to what this Italian aluminum steel, I don't know what it is, sounds like, shall we? Yes.
3, 2, 1.
Ha! Completely full. Much, much more exciting than the front trunk for many is indeed the rear trunk or the boot at the back. And of course it opens up electrically, revealing a very massive and extremely spacious tailgate, perfect for all your needs. Let's start with the positives, because Maserati has divided the parcel shelf into two parts here. I find this very, very stylishly done, and then it leads us to the next step here. First, let's check out this nice large loading space without having to maneuver the parcel shelf. We don't want to overlook that. And then we have the option here, guided by rails, to slide the parcel shelf backwards. This is really, really high quality, I must say. I find it absolutely, absolutely awesome. And so in the lovely Maserati Grecale Folgore, we have a cargo capacity of 535 liters. Then, right below here, we have a little option to store a Type 2 charging cable, but mind you, it's not a large one. Storage option, which again is really brilliant with Maserati, is that the seats here are spring-loaded. But before we proceed with that, Stefan, let's first carefully flip the middle 20% so we don't inadvertently shortchange our viewers. Because it's super convenient, if we want to go on a ski trip, we have an all-wheel drive SUV, can load the skis through, or maybe even pick up a long item from the home improvement store. Yes, now we come to the highlight here. Spring-loaded and then another 40% on the passenger side. And with spring preload, another 40% on the driver's side is added. We couldn't find a figure for the total number. We'd estimate you get to enjoy a total trunk volume of maybe 1,200, 1,300 liters. And of course, the mother-in-law's wardrobe has to fit in there, right?
Absolutely. Here you can push a restricted item too.
Let me guess, what opens electrically?
Closes electrically.
That's precisely how it should naturally be, by the way, this particular type of plastic. On the back seat, the trunk lid all covered with such very hard plastic. I don't like that, by the way. Don't even want to delve into it because many of you would say, who cares? Yes, what intrigues us is the big chunky shark fin. That's where we have the technology for navigation and so on. PP inside. As I said, I find it very nice when it's integrated into the body, the windows and the side mirrors, making that little bump disappear. What we don't quite know yet is whether it's easily removable or feasible is a roof rack carrying a roof load. We haven't found any information on that. We'd always hope for the capacity to load an additional 75-100 kilos on the roof. What's always feasible, and this is particularly crucial for any Maserati driver to know, is the option of adding a tow hitch. There, it goes non-stop up to 750 kilos, and with brakes up to 1.8 tons. And that's quite impressive, really. You can tow a large, heavy horse trailer, tow a big, hefty motorboat, and our friendly Dutch neighbors can pull their beloved, spacious caravans. So all is just perfect, right?
One would think.
The only thing I can't tell you is the nose weight, in case you're thinking of adding a bike carrier on the back. For all enthusiasts of integrated cycling, outside we have shown you everything. Let's go ahead and move inside now. And first, let us take a leisurely look by the window over here, please. Double glazing, 2 panes bonded with a film. Whether it holds good interior sounds, we'll determine that with the decibel meter accordingly. Yes, let's start chronologically with the door panel. That's important for many of you, after all. Here we have at the top sort of a faux leather, plastic, nicely soft with a copper-colored seam. Then This looks just like a matte carbon structure again, with those copper-colored elements. Whether it's really carbon, I can't tell you. Here's another faux leather, then a Sonosfaber sound system, which has that on it. We'll test it out together with you too. Nicely padded underneath here, a bit of faux leather, copper-colored stitching. But here, look, hard plastic and already showing some light scratches. This is a press car, brand new, so hard plastic issues are unavoidable. That's why we always approach it with a bit of constructive criticism. We've got central locking, we've got child safety locks, we have window control and adjustable exterior mirrors, all very neat. And then right down here, well, not exactly softly padded, but I'll let that slide just barely. Then the lower trim, but just inside that area, once again, the hardest plastic. Down there, there's a felt, so it doesn't rustle or clatter. And a small 0.5 litre bottle fits in, maybe even a 0.7 litre bottle. Electronic door unlocking for everyday use and emergency release are down here. Last but not least, of course, we're doing the soft close check with you. It's absolutely crucial in the luxury segment. Sadly, our subject indeed lacks that. I'm not entirely sure if that's a viable option, Stefan, but having soft close and Maserati, that's pretty much the standard, right?
Should be.
Welcome here to the dashboard of the Maserati Grecale episode, and let's talk about the 4 zone displays. The first zone is the lower display, which looks really classy and is full of information. Then we've got a really nice big instrument cluster as the second zone. Here we have a multifunction steering wheel with haptic buttons, start-stop button for turning on and off, drive mode selector plus suspension adjustment, all within easy reach. Really good. And then, as the third display zone, we have a large infotainment screen. It genuinely operates quite smoothly indeed. Have both Apple CarPlay and Android Auto Wireless as standard features readily available on board for everyone to enjoy seamlessly. So, magnificently displayed across the entire plane. I like that. And then, as the fourth zone on the display, we have the climate control menu, where you, of course, also have seat ventilation, seat heating, just like here. I believe there's a special package you can opt to add on, but I would most likely recommend that to you in any situation, honestly. Up here are the buttons for the gear selectors. We couldn't find them at first, right, Stefan?
Yes, how do we move forward?
So this is often also a case of user error. Here we have an inductive charging area for a large smartphone. Then here's another nice compartment you can open where you can stash all sorts of stuff. USB-A, USB-C ports. Somehow I miss having a 12-volt connection here. And then we have very, very nicely, once again, such a compartment with cup holders. Below, it's brushed aluminium. Could theoretically even be heated and cooled. That'd be great, of course. Forgot, did it in SL63 AMG before. That was cool.
The drinks were cold.
The coffee stayed hot and the cola cold.
Exactly.
Cold, 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 cold. Yes, here's a large storage compartment, and it seems to be some kind of NFC field, or maybe even an induction charging option. But I think it's more like an NFC field, maybe for a key. But there's also the 12-volt socket included. That's nicely done, lined with felt too. And what opens also closes. And here we have a nice big center armrest that's not adjustable. And all of this here nicely covered with a faux leather. Yes, up here too, all covered with a kind of plastic faux leather with stitching. Very, very valuable. And here too, this illumination, very, very chic. I appreciate it not spreading from these doors. This might be a bit too much, right? Yes, but here we have a tougher plastic, which, however, visually appears as if it's softly foamed up here on top. It's a pity it's so tough, isn't it?
They could have made that a bit softer too.
Yes, and we're going to check out the glove compartment in a moment. Yes, what else do we have? We indeed have a quite nice, exceptionally appealing blind here, ready to open again. And behind that, you see, and that's obviously awesome, especially now here with summery spring-like temperatures here in May in Berlin. Then there's a huge panoramic sliding glass roof. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Look what we have here for the sun. It's powerful. It comes right in, and also the fresh Berlin air, which is supposed to be so healthy. Yes.
Very healthy.
Mm-hmm. The highlight, by the way, is this felt. I'm not sure, is it Alcantara? Is it microfiber? Is it felt? Or is it actually felt?
Well,
look, it's so fluffy here. It really reminds me of my Nicky back in the day. Do you recall those Nicky sweaters? It somewhat feels like that. That's missing. Look, here again, he's got plastic. Peeking through the passenger door, we get a glimpse of a truly thick, hefty center console, reminiscent of the best times of combustion engines. Sure, the whole concept relies on the combustion engine, likely battery packs, who knows what behind. And that's just kind of a hidden space, because where am I supposed to store my beautiful modern heart-shaped bag with all the essentials? Should I put it in here now? It kind of looks weird. If I put it in the cup holder, I lose my cup holder. So it can only go here. That doesn't fit well either, so it's going to the back for now. Yes, what we definitely have are nice sporty seats, and this feels like a sort of fabric, kind of like neoprene. Yes,
exactly.
as I mentioned, heated seats, ventilated seats. I'm hoping for seat massage as well. And here too, this copper accent is incorporated where the ventilation comes out. It's really stylishly done.
That looks chic, yes.
Good thigh support. Here is also provided a good lumbar support, accompanied with slight shoulder padding, neatly folded inwards. I think so too, supports the slim man or the delicate lady. And then, of course, here again, very, very beautifully and also optional, we have the Maserati Trident elegantly embroidered into the comfort headrest. Well, I must say Maserati really puts in the effort. They do that well. But seriously, this is actually pretty neat with the plastic and all. Everything's fantastic. Lovely Maserati pouches, service book in leather, all lined with felt. But Maserati, what exactly is happening with these unusual door sills? It's honestly, truly the hardest, most durable plastic that one could ever possibly imagine, isn't it?
Well...
Oh, look, it actually goes up here to the B pillar. Here, look, look, look. And then can you see the felt again?
Yes, there, you can clearly see the edge.
Yeah. Let's go for a nice leisurely cruise around. A Maserati, if you will, please. And then you write in the comments again, don't get so worked up, Ollie. It's not good for your heart. But friends, 124,000 euros for such a sleek premium luxury SUV. I can expect a bit of high quality material, can't I, Stefan? What do you think?
Yes, indeed.
Yes, as mentioned, I'm 1.85 meters tall, a mere 99.9 recurring kilos heavy. And now I want to get into the back seat here. Here's the Maserati, and it moves with elegance. Back here in the Maserati, I've got plenty of space, even as he moves away from the combustion model. I find it comfortable to sit. I'm about 6'1", got this nice center armrest here, but as always it's too short because of the third headrest there, and so I end up sitting right on the edge by the cup holder from my seating position here. I just wish that the center armrest was simply longer. Seats in the back appear visually similar to those in the front, but they lack the same support. This means in the lumbar region as well as in the thigh area, we have virtually no support. And also stability during the ride. So imagine 820 Newton meters, 410 kilowatt, 557 horsepower, and if the guy in front decides to speed up sportily, I'd pretty much be thrown around here, right?
That's not so nice.
Not so nice, right? Besides, the seat covering back here, it's like a faux leather. Also here with such plastic, it's nicely done. Here with the pouch, I'm all for it. A place for the gentleman's tissues we still haven't found, but maybe it can also be tucked in here. This works. And we've got a triple zone automatic climate control installed here, where we can control the rear settings very, very nicely, where we have USB-A, USB-C ports, air vents, where in the high-end luxury segment, I really do expect to find air vents strategically placed in the B pillar as well, just to add that little extra bit of comfort and elegance. Climate. Then perhaps to generate, yes, last but certainly not least, we've effectively solved it right here with a, I believe, high quality plastic. We've seen that in some productions, creating the hardest plastic around. It continues along the side here and then down there. And you know, Stefan, somehow the entry strips, which are so nicely in stainless steel here, maybe they could have extended them a bit more, kind of bring them around here, make them a bit larger, right?
Yes, that would most certainly be an eye-catcher again.
Optionally, you have the convenient adjustment of the, as you might say, backrest on that particular bench seat. This means you can adjust the seat back to be steeper or lean it back to either. Sit more comfortably here or maybe even create more space in the trunk. Outside we've shown you everything. Inside we've shown you everything. Let's get started right now. We're going to fully test out the 410 kilowatt of 557 HP of the Maserati now, along with its 820 Nm of torque. We're getting started, and first up, we'll tackle the Tropic with you. Gotta say, I'm a bit disappointed. There, Maserati managed a distance of 12.3 meters. Other manufacturers can do it in 11 meters. Then, for example, also talking about a steerable rear axle, or essentially a rear wheel steering system, so to speak. It's simply not installed in the Folgore here at this moment. In the city streets, where many of you often utilize SUVs, having the option to easily park is obviously quite important as well. It's 487 meters long, and here we have the chance very, very nicely to also back into a parking spot. We're receiving valuable support here from the free 360-degree camera, which I also find provides a very clear and sharp image and offers the perfect assistance with the guidance lines. Yes, the gear control is right here. You have the option here again to, accordingly then, to switch the images all the way to the full 180-degree view. It's absolutely crucial indeed when you're essentially driving out of a very tight spot. Just like now, right here in this exact spot where, for instance, cyclists come along so that you can see them very clearly through the front camera if previously you didn't have a perfectly clear view. I think that's actually quite well done, don't you think?
Yes, enough?
We've set out, and now we're truly excited to experience driving the luxurious Maserati on the bustling streets of beautiful Berlin along with you. And what I really like, for instance, is where there used to always be an analog clock. Now there's the percentage prominently displayed along with the range. Feel free to leave a comment. Do you really think it's quite cool that it's solved in this particular way, or would you much prefer to have an analog clock instead? The Maserati comes equipped with an advanced air suspension system. We're going to experiment with the noise level on some cobblestone streets here for a little bit. I must say it's nicely quiet.
Quiet he is, yes.
Nothing rattles here, nothing hisses. And whatever options you have, look, Stefan, right here below, there's also the option to adjust the suspension height. That means in two specific off-road modes, or even in the aero mode, where the vehicle then automatically lowers itself again. I strongly believe it does that automatically on the highway as well, in order to essentially travel as efficiently as can be possible. Do you hear what I am currently hearing?
This clicking supposed to be the turn signal?
Yes.
Sounds very distant, I think.
Sounds like some old clock at Grandma Lowland's, yeah?
Exactly, just like the little cuckoo pops right out. Cuckoo!
Well executed are the different driving modes on the dial on the steering wheel. We've got off-road, we've got the option for maximum range, which means it optimizes everything for efficient driving. We have the option to select, so to speak, the GT mode, which is essentially the long distance mode where you aim to drive as comfortably as possible. And then, of course, we have the dynamic sports mode setting, which is obviously fantastic, where you can really push the Maserati to its ultimate maximum performance effortlessly. In the luxurious Maserati, you've installed a highly advanced modern assistance system ingeniously designed to offer significant support in achieving successful semi-autonomous driving experiences. Capacitive control, meaning if you have three hands on the steering wheel, the vehicle detects it, and you have the option here on the right through the multifunction steering wheel to use the adaptive cruise control in conjunction with lane keeping assist, with steering assist accordingly. The traffic sign recognition here is actually solved very well. It works very well. However, what isn't well addressed, unfortunately, is the predictive control. I'm not sure if the subject can't do it here, or if perhaps I have a setting mistake with this press vehicle. But it doesn't automatically predict the exact speeds at this moment now. I find it a bit disappointing because Audi can do it, BMW can do it, Mercedes can do it, the entire Volkswagen group can do it. And of course, I expect that as well from such a high quality luxury SUV. Otherwise, the lane guidance feature itself is performing quite well and sensibly here, adequately positioned right in the middle of the lane, providing comfort. Indeed, a distinct visual highlight are the very large metallic seesaws located here. We're familiar with that from the combustion engine, where we can shift gears up and down very sportily. Maserati kept that in the electric version as well. I actually think it's quite cool. And there you have the option to control the recuperation in at least 3-4 levels. That means you've got D+, where he actually sails, or pull back to D. The Maserati does that quite automatically. And you've got 2 more, where you can also adjust the recuperation settings to be much stronger, thus effectively giving you that unique one-pedal drive feeling. But in the very end, the vehicle will always start to creep along, never ever managing to come to a complete and total stop, regardless. I must say it's well resolved, but behind here are the control levers for the blinker and windshield washer. And there, if you're not practiced, things can get a bit confusing. But that might just be a user error, right, Stefan? Yes?
Your fingers are just too short.
I see. We want to measure the interior sounds with you at 50 km/h. 51, 53 decibels. Now that's a really good value. That's really good. For a comparison, a Mercedes S-Class is around 55,056 decibels in sound. Well, I must say Maserati delivered on that.
Absolutely.
We're driving 43 map. (62, 63 decibels). That's also a top-notch value, just for comparison. A VW ID3 sits at 70 decibels, cruising at 100 km/h. 66, 67 decibels. That's also a truly impressive figure. An ID3 sits at mid-70 decibels, and there you can see just how well insulated the Maserati Folgore is, but also how little noise it emits from operation itself. Also, in comparison to the combustion engine, we've switched to sport mode, and here on the display, discovered a menu where you can engage in a drag race just like this. Let's examine the 0 to 60 value then. Are you ready, Stefan? Yes, let's go. Countdown.
3, 2, 1, go.
The slippage, 50, 100. And you have to admit, that's not too bad. 4.4 seconds, right?
He accomplishes that quite brilliantly.
Just like that, straight out of the cold, 4.1 seconds is the factory claim. I mean, wowza, right?
He did that well. That's pleasing.
And Grecale is absolutely the ideal choice for that specific task, to gracefully and effortlessly cruise through that particularly challenging terrain on those beautifully lovely winding roads and truly let Grecale soar into the infinite horizon. For you can feel 410 kilowatt, 557 horsepower, and especially 820 Newton meters. That's pure driving pleasure. And I can promise you this is much more direct, much more exciting and thrilling than anything you've ever known from combustion engines. So I think all Maserati combustion engine enthusiasts would be wise to at least give the electric variant a try. Pretty awesome sound, huh? Yeah, surprising. Not really familiar with the brand, right?
That is precisely what the movie informed me about.
More like a connoisseur's choice.
The expert likely knows.
But just a tiny bit too watery, perhaps. But let's see how the highs come through here now. Let's move on to the interim conclusion with the Maserati Grecale. And I have to tell you, it's a premium SUV with strengths, but also with a few things I would have preferred to be pleasantly different. That's, I believe, the positive phrasing, right?
Yes, I'd say so too.
Ride, comfort, performance, it's all great. The mix of materials on the whole, I find that great too. The only thing I really wished for, which we'll delve into with the second video during the consumption drive, the charging test, is the DC charging performance, right?
Yes, I'm eager to see that.
Because unlike its corporate sibling, the Gran Turismo Folgore, it doesn't have an 800-volt system installed, and of course lacks that fast charging at 270 kilometers.
It's quite a pity, really.
Because if it indeed, and that's what we want to test, takes 38 minutes to charge from 10 to 80 in 2024 for its price range, that's just a slow charger. Otherwise, you really have an awesome suspension here. A cool air suspension, superb performance, great driving comfort as I see it, a large trunk. You have the option to fold the seats down. You've got the trailer hitch with a 1.8 tons capacity. It all fits. The only thing that might not be right for some of you is the price. Starting at 124K and a little bit of change though, it really does come pretty fully equipped. So I would say for 130K, you should practically get the full package, and feel free to talk to Maserati about it, especially with our partner Maserati Berlin, because there seem to be some interesting leasing rates available. 4 years, 10,000 kilometers per year, starting at about 1,500 euros, of course, available with more kilometers too. And that's a whole different ballgame.
That can't be right.
Sure, 1,500 euros is indeed a hell of a lot of money, but of course you're getting quite a hell of a car. And it's not just any ordinary car, it's actually a Maserati. And with that, we've reached the end of today's video. We hope you enjoyed watching. You rate it with a thumbs up. Then the next part will follow soon, with the consumption drive and the charging check. Please check again if you're part of Electric Community Part 1. If not, we'd be thrilled if you could support us with a subscription. And then, of course, you won't miss the consumption drive with the charging check. I say many thanks for watching. Stay healthy and see you soon. Yours, Ollie. How about you, Stefan?
Yes.
A sleek Maserati Trident would certainly look very good in our spacious garage, wouldn't it? What's your opinion? Yeah, it seems quite good.
That would look sharp.
Damn hot.